Hope everyone's doing well. If you're watching, thanks for watching. At the end, if you like it, please hit the like button and or hit subscribe. Today, we're actually going to complete a box. Now, a box, you might wonder how box makers get the top when it's a complete box to match the bottom. How does the top match the exact bottom? Basically, we're going to glue the flooring. I have everything prepped in the top all together at once, and then we actually cut the lid off with a table saw. It's actually pretty cool. However, I do it just a little bit different than others. So for one, I made this bottom oversized so I could trim it down and make sure it fits real good. The top I kept oversized by just a little bit, and that's to account for slip. So we're just going to spread some glue in here. All right, which really, by putting it at this angle, it's going to slip downwards. Because what we don't want is a bunch of glue to end up in here and then to scrape it out later. Which I like a little more glue right there. And I'll smooth that out with my finger. Because the others, I'll put a little bit more glue there. The others are working out well. I'm just going to massage it in with the finger. We're going to get these walls a little bit here and there. Because that glue, when we flip it over, is going to settle because we're not actually going to clamp it until we have the top glued on. So really with Spanish cedar, as we had talked about on a humidor, likes to absorb that moisture. So we're just going to get that in there, and as you can tell, I mean, it's a snug fit. We got it nice and snug because before we trimmed it up and flip it over. I've already chiseled out the glue that's on the corners, so that's not going to be an issue. Took a little Japanese plane. If you don't have one and you're a beginner woodworker, you can get them on Amazon or eBay. I'll show you. They're really cool, and they're very user-friendly. It's not like learning how to adjust a Stanley Sweetheart hand plane or anything like that. Those hand planes serve a whole nother purpose in the shop. But when I spread this and let it sit and see if we need more, I'll show you what that plane really looks like. Get that out of there. Because it really is handy, and you seriously adjust it by tapping it. We're going to need more glue after that soaks in, but it's a Japanese little hand plane. It's very sharp. The way you adjust it is if it's too high, you just tap this in. And then if you want to lower the blade, you literally tap that end. And then you can square it up. It's super simple. That's why I keep it directly on the bench. My other planes usually are just to trim up some other things or do some really heavy work on a huge table glue up. Like one time I made my wife a huge workstation for her students at school because they were short on desks. And I used rough timber to keep the cost down a little bit, and I wanted it super heavy duty for all the kids that are kicking it, beating on it, whatever. I want it to hold up really well. And so I had to really put some hand plane love in there. All right, so now we've got plenty of glue because it's going to squeeze out. As you can see, she's really covered in glue, but not too over covered. And the bottom, if you notice, it didn't fall out. I'm just letting that glue kind of soak in. Now this lid is oversized by 1/8 of an inch on both sides. The reason for that is when you put clamps on it, it's naturally going to want to move on you. And I've learned over time that it's much easier for me to flush cut than to try to sand out, say it moves over that edge and you don't realize it somewhere. It's really, really hard to sand out and keep that piece looking really nice. So once I get clamps on here and we start to squeeze that together, you'll see me come down and start eyeballing stuff. I'm not worried about the overhang here. I oversized that 1/4 inch, this side 1/8 of an inch. And that way I can go down and I can eyeball. Once you've been doing it a while, you can really eyeball. You can use a square if you want to. The slippage, and I can readjust it. But as it sits in clamps, it might adjust. And when we're working with something like this, we're actually dealing with, you know, 1/132 can make a huge difference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it right here on a clamp. And this gets to be the hard part because I didn't have that other clamp moved close enough. And I am going to just put that there. And this is just to keep it stable. I'll walk that down. Walk that down. And so as I tighten this one, it's going to want to pull naturally this lid to this side. As I tighten this one, it's going to want to do the other. And so I'm going to snug them up just a little bit and check on that overhang, and it looks like just need to rotate that just a little more. And as you can see, it still moves in the clamps. And we're going to check on it again. But now I at least have it standing up. Now, is what I'll do is I'll put one on this corner. And I will put one on the opposite corner over here. And then I will actually start to clamp it up so that that lid at the joint, all right, we're snug, we're snug. And so what we're doing is we're working opposite of each other. I'm going to snug that down, snug this down, snug this down, snug this down, and she's not moving. Now this clamp I am going to move, this clamp I'm going to move. So as I tighten those up, I just double check we're still good. So now, and even if you don't have these heavy duty clamps, you can still get the job done. It's just a little harder. You might have to glue the lid separate from the floor. I like to do it all at once. I'm going to remove this corner and put that there. I'm actually going to back it up a little bit so I can put another clamp in the center. And as you can tell, I'm tightening them down, but I'm not forcing it. And by fitting this bottom lid, or sorry, the bottom floor the way that I did, it allows for it to be, because it's fitted after the box is actually glued up, or sorry, it's made to fit, which means thickness wise, I planed it until I just took that last 1/132 of an inch off of it so that I can make sure that it would in fact fit, so that I didn't have to worry about putting a spacer on the floor. And if you're building this like I am for a customer, that customer doesn't have to deal with me putting a bunch of putty and me take up more time for me to spray it with velvet, which is also known as flocking. If you haven't looked that up, super duper easy to do. It looks more intimidating than it is. I can make a video of that. It is phenomenally easy. Once I got comfortable with it, I love doing it. It's way easier than super gluing velvet. Now, I'm gonna go through, snug these down, not squeeze out all the glue. And now, we have a complete box. Top and floor, all held in there nice and tight. Next is what we'll do is actually just flush cut that top, and it will match. And then we'll run it through the table saw. I think I've shown a video of me cutting off a lid. But we'll run it through the table saw, and we will not cut it all the way off. It's actually really cool how it's done. I learned it is trial and error and looking up other people's solutions back before YouTube to figure it out. If you're watching, thanks for watching. If you do like this, please hit the like. Subscribe if you can. Be trying to do videos as often as possible on things like this because box making is my passion. Everyone have a great day.